Okay, so the first thing I did was I went and I found a reference image from VisiPop, and what I'm going to do is I am basically going to create a reflection of it to kind of figure out where things are. So I'm going to be drawing shapes here. I'm figuring out where the eyes and how the horns lay and the coat itself. Just very loose to begin with. We're not really going for detail at the moment. We're just trying to figure out like where the shapes are. And by doing a mirror, we're not worrying about like being original. We're trying to figure out where the shapes are and how they're connected. So once I finished figuring out the shapes, and I do it in blue because of it's kind of traditional in animation and architecture to do blue, and it doesn't hurt my eyes. So that way, when I go in and ink later, I can basically like figure out what I've already inked at a glance. So here we're doing the details of the eyes, and we're paying special attention to the parts that make him unique. We're adding the teeth and the horns, and kind of paying attention to the angle of the horns. Now here, I have a bit of problems with the shape of his head. It's a little bit strange, but here I'm trying to make sure that his lips are sharp enough. Uh, and then we're going to go ahead and go down and give him his brooch. And like again, I said I work a little bit on his head a little bit because I tend to think it's thicker than it is, and it's actually very skinny. So I basically like go back and forth and try to make the head as skinny as possible. I notice here that there are some horns at the back of his head, and I add those. And here I'm basically trying to figure out like where the stripes on his horns go and how large they are. And for some reason here they're very like not very rounded at that point. So here we're going to add some of the back spikes. Continuing down the body, he's got kind of almost like a tuxedo type thing. So I'm giving him his little lapels, I think they're called. And then I don't know what these are. Like to me, these look like pom poms, but I'm pretty sure they're not pom poms. Now Blitzo has 3 fingers. He and one thumb, so he does not have 4 fingers here. So you need to make sure of that, and the fingers need to be very long. And his hand is much bigger than his arm. His arms are very skinny, but his hands are very triangular. You need to make sure that you get that part done. And again, his legs are stupid skinny. And I guess that kind of gives the flowy feel of VisiPop's style. Here, like I said, again, I've been messing with the head, so I try to make his head skinnier with a stretch tool, and I fix that a bit and then reattach it to his head. A little bit of like, decapitation surgery real quick. So we got horns basically done, and I would use a bucket tool, but I'm really bad at making sure that the entire part is completely covered. So you'll see black flashes sometimes, and that's just me trying to use a bucket tool and failing over and over again. Not exactly great, but that's what's happening. So I'm gonna draw his second hand, and you'll notice the lines are always very flowy, and his feet are very tiny comparatively. So I use the bucket tool there. You can see some black flashes. I apologize. We got the 3 fingers again, very, very sharp. And his gloves have like a circle on it with like a square. So we're finishing up that, and we've got to do the tail next. And the tail has got some little details to it. He's got some burns on his tail, which for obvious reasons. And then there's special markings on tails to make them different between each imp. So he's got 3 little spikes there, and then like 2 lines, and the very tip is very black. And then he's got a little white burn there. Here, we're going to create a backwards image of it. So we're taking the image we recreated, and it has a mirror. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take that and make it into a backwards facing image just by kind of tracing the outlines and fixing a couple of things to make it look more like from the back. So from the back, I drew the thumb you see there and the tail going into the coat to make it look more like the back. And instead of giving like the lapel details and stuff, I'll fill this part in with black so it looks more like it's from the back. Here, I'm basically, you have to flip the scars. And this part's a little bit, I messed around with this part a little bit. I'm trying to figure out like how the horns lay, finishing out the fingers right there. Okay, got that. Horns, I think I decided that I was going to flip the horns like that. And that does seem right to me. So we got the horns flipped now. And we're going to finish out the tail. Just doing the little details. Little tails. So now his feet, they're not facing forward anymore, so we have to flip them. So just kind of flip them there. Okay. Finishing out, filling out the horns. There we go. Okay. So we got a front facing image, or like a 3/4 image, and then like a 3/4 backwards image. And Bliss isn't drawn from the front very often because it looks strange. So we're just gonna go with the 3/4 views. So his head is basically I guess like a sassy teardrop is the way I think of it. So we're gonna draw a teardrop and then add in some lines to give him like a sassy thing, and then give him 3 teeth on the top and bottom, which is typically what he has. Sometimes they're like little sticks, and we're going to draw his horns coming out of there and give him his little detail. So now what I'm going to do is I kind of got like a head, an idea of what the head, so I'm going to draw a couple of different teardrops from different like perspectives. And I'm going to try to make them into blitzo. So this is kind of like an exercise I used to do where you draw shapes and then you try to make stuff. So here what we're doing is we're drawing teardrops and then we're making them into blitzos. So we're going to give him a little tongue out there because I actually really like the tongue. And make sure you give him the eye drop like it's got very almond eyes with like a line from going from the top and the bottom. Give him his scars. Make sure you give everything that reads blitzo. Now here we're doing one from the like a lower angle, looking down at his chin. And these are fun to do, so you can do these really quick. Give him his scars and fill in the horns. Here we're going to kind of a sleepy one with the tongue out. The horn here was a little bit, I was trying to figure out like how his horns, I still don't know, like how does he sleep? It confuses me because I'm like, how does he lay down? It would hurt, right? I don't know. But I got him sleeping right there. And then here, this one, the shape wasn't great. I think he looks a little too cute almost. But and I do mess around with it a little bit, try to get a little bit more blitzy shape. But I think that one's a little bit too flat almost. It doesn't read blitzo as much as I think it should. So okay, so we got the last little I guess it's a tattoo. I don't really know what it is. It's a marking on his forehead. Tattoo, birthmark, genetic. Okay, so now we're gonna put it all together, and we're gonna draw a full blitzo with some things. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna do stick figures, a couple little stick figures, blitzos, and then we'll add the details later. So we've kind of added the details. We're gonna go through, create some stick figure blitzos, and then finish them out. Doing from the side, kind of sad. Here, I think I changed my mind about the thing of the blitzo, but I'm gonna give him like sassy mouth. Very sassy mouth. Go down there. Give him his freakish. How does his head? How does his how are his horns being supported by that tiny little neck? I have no idea. Maybe they're hollow. But gonna give him like some arms that are, what do you say, crossed? I guess that's what it is. I can't believe I forgot that word. And we're gonna give him his torn. I think I was gonna do like a little more of ballet like pose there, but I realized it didn't look right, so I decided to change the pose a little bit. It's fun. These are just sketches. So we're gonna give him his toes here. Fill out the rest of the coat. And again, I'm really bad at the paint bucket tool, which is a really strange thing to be bad at. Use it, but so picky. It's like, no, you didn't fill it in all the way. Feels like my math homework when I was a kid. So we got the blitzo, got the horns. Yes, that looks good. I like it. Good. Got the teeth, little pom poms. I'm sure they're not pom poms. They're probably buttons. I don't know why I think they're pom poms, but those little buttons on his coat looks like pom poms to me. I think maybe because I had like a doll when I was a kid that had those pom poms and it was a clown. And that's what I think of when I see his jacket. I always think, oh, it's the clown pom poms. I don't think they're pom poms though. Fill out his identifying marks on his tail. Clean it up a bit because it's very messy. It's very messy. That's half the fun. Okay, so this one's more of like thinking like a circus like announcer type pose is what I was thinking. So I work a little bit on his mouth here. I want it to be like super large here and very expressive. So and give him his tongue, of course, because I love his tongue. Gives him personality. So we're doing a hand gesture here. Okay, so now we're gonna do the side view real quick with the pom poms and the brooch. And I'm kind of giving him like, I don't know, the sad pose to me is like when it starts walking just a wee bit. Apparently I forgot to go in and fill that back in. It bothered me, so I wouldn't fix it right now. We got the horns. I'm only going to draw one because the other one I think is being hidden by that. And we're going to give him his little arms there. And the spikes. Finish out the tail. Making it a little bit cleaner there because it's not really clean. Now his coat has a lot of tatters in it. And sometimes I tend to forget those. Figuring out where his boots are. And then filling out his horns. There you go, his little arm. Oh. Now here, the rest of this is basically just me filling out red, so I'm gonna probably speed this up. Basically, like you only really need red for blitzo to read blitzo. And I'm flashing my reference image because I'm just getting the color off of him to get a more accurate color. So we're gonna go ahead and just speed the rest of this up here. Okay, so there we go. We got our blitzo study all done. I hope you were able to follow that and probably learn something. And if you like that, go ahead and like and subscribe so I can keep on doing these. Thank you.